Now, just before we go, and still very related to the Naira, we just have to touch on a couple of things. Now, a couple of days ago, the Naira strengthened to as low as 280 Naira against the dollar at the parallel market. And I could not believe some of the things being put out on social media, especially being related to billionaire businessman Ifeanyi Ubah, who had said that he could fix the value of the Naira and bring it to as low as 200 Naira in 30 days. Even putting up some of his assets as a collateral to say if he doesn't do it, they could seize the assets. Now, the question is, can he single-handedly bring down the value of the Naira? Boyega will be running us through that, and then we'll be rounding off. Boyega, do talk us through this.
Tunji, now, first and foremost, I don't think any sole individual can actually bring about a change between the gap between the parallel and the Forex market. Now, the major issue you've actually had, it is a demand and supply issue solely. Now, whether that demand is artificial or not, it doesn't matter. The fact still remains is as long as it is effective demand, that is demand backed by cash, you would always have a spike. Now, what we've seen over the past few months, Forex demand has gone from 2 billion, it ranges in between 2 billion and 5 billion. Now, if you look at it, right, 15% of that is school fees and medical tourism, according to the CBN. Now, remember, 2 weeks ago, there was a bankers committee meeting. That basically said that they're going to add, quote and unquote, school fees and medical tourism to that prohibition list. Now, that's about 750. If you use a low of 2 billion and use a high of about 5 billion, that's about 300 million US dollars that is going to demand that enters this market. So unfortunately, that was why we saw this spike here. Now, at some point, whether there was some intervention, whether from what we gather, unconfirmed reports said there were cash calls, oil companies sold dollars, we don't know what it was exactly, but there was supply. And it had absolutely nothing to do with any statements attributed to the billionaire businessman. There was supply. Now, that supply obviously induced panic selling. So when it peaked at 400, somebody sold. Now imagine selling $100 million at 400 Naira and buying the same thing. You crash into here. Now you buy the same thing back and the price spikes again. Now the challenge you have is you have not fixed the issues. So whether there was an intervention, as long as you haven't fixed this huge unmet Forex demand, it's still going to go back up at some point. Now coming to my further point. Now, the thing is, for us to fix the supply issue, it borders on what? Reserves. The only way we can fix that is reserves. Now, your reserves have dropped by about 12% since July last year. They're not going up. The only way your Forex reserves will go up is if your crude oil price goes up. Now, your benchmark price is 38. It's currently trading at 35. So that means your accretion to your reserves is low or minimum at best, right?
So Boyega, are you trying to say that billionaire Ifeanyi Ubah had nothing to do...
Absolutely nothing to do with it.
Because, I mean, people are beginning to call for him to be the CBN governor.
No, absolutely nothing to do with it. Because the fact still remains that if you don't fix the supply issues, if you had a war chest of, let's say, 50 billion US dollars in your reserves, and you say, okay, you know what, because it's a supply issue, let's apply $2 billion or $5 billion on that unmet demand. Guess what? This differential would spiral downwards. But because you have 27 billion and you look at it, if you do this unmet demand of 5 billion, you do it 3 times, this is done. You know, so it has absolutely nothing to do with comments attributed to him.
Now, of course, Btva will continue to watch the economy and financial space in Nigeria, providing analysis that can, in turn, shape your business decisions. I am Tunji Andrews, and from the team and I, keep doing business, Nigeria.